Thank you for downloading this RealAgriculture podcast. Excite your crops with inputs from Excite Bio. Access nitrogen and phosphorus with Excite Bio's lineup of inoculants and ag biologicals. Since 2010, they've been helping farmers harness the power of the soil. Learn more at excitebio.ca. That's XITEBIO.ca.
Shaun Haney here with RealAgriculture.com and Real Ag Radio, Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. We're at the National Association of Farm Broadcasters meeting in Kansas City. Joined right now by John Newton from Terrain. John, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. You told me you'd find me on LinkedIn, and you sure did.
I did warn you. Okay, farm profitability. It seems like that's the big topic here. Going booth to booth here at NAFB. Obviously talking to a lot of members of our audience on both sides of the border. Profitability is a problem for 25 potentially.
Well, and no one knows that better than the farmers that are listening right now. I mean, you think USDA has already come out with their projections for input costs going into 2025, and it's higher. For a lot of the major crops, corn production expenses are projected to go up. At the same time, the most recent baseline, long-run baseline from USDA, suggests that we could see even lower prices in 2025. So you put the two of those together, it's even tighter margins, prices even further below break even, and this is going to be for the second consecutive year in a row.
You spent a lot of time analyzing this. Is this something that has a hold of us potentially for a longer period, or are there signs of ways to break out of this?
I think there are always ways to break out of it. You just don't know what's going to happen. And go back to the most recent run-up that we're coming out of. It started in 2019. We had 20 million acres that couldn't get planted in the U.S. You follow that up with China beginning to start making their Phase 1 purchases, where they purchased over $30 billion worth of ag products for 3 straight years in a row. So strong exports combined with tighter stocks drove the prices higher. Then you had the uncertainty, the geopolitical risk with Russia, Ukraine, which pushed prices even higher again. No one saw that coming. I've said to folks, at some point, when you've had so many black swan events in a row, they're just swans. And no one knows what's going to happen, but I'm optimistic for agriculture. I know farmers are resilient, they're innovative, and they're thinking about how to make it through a challenging environment next year.
You can take this question whatever way you want. What do you expect from Trump 2.0 as they enter the White House in January?
I think right now it's too early to tell. We don't know who, importantly, will be the Secretary of Agriculture. And the Secretary of Agriculture, their job is to stand in the Oval Office with President Trump and explain why or how certain policies will impact agriculture in rural America. So once you find out who's in that seat, the ag community can come together and work with that individual, whoever he or she may be, to advise the president. So I think there's opportunities in Trump 2.0. I can certainly tell you that a deregulatory agenda is going to be on the table. We'll probably see a lot of executive orders, as was the case last time. There were 2 regulations cut for every new regulation. He's promised to do 8 cuts for every new regulation now. And if folks remember, from 2017 to 2021, the Trump administration cut 217 regulations. So I can assure you that will be on the agenda very early in his presidency.
What's your read right now on what we do with the Farm Bill?
Well, you can go one of 2 ways right now. Well, we don't have one, first of all. And you can go one of 2 directions. One is you can come back to Washington, D.C. They're there now. They got about 4.5 weeks left. And you can get a full 5-year farm bill, your commitment to agriculture in rural America, over the finish line. Or you do another 1-year extension, and then people are still hanging out there with low prices, low profitability for another year. It's challenging. I know farmers are working with their farm credit lenders now trying to plan for what's this economic environment with or without an enhanced farm bill next year.
I kind of thought lower prices would increase the political will to get it across the finish line. I missed the mark on that one.
I think it did in certain communities among certain lawmakers. They went back home, they heard from their farmers, they came back motivated to get a farm bill done. But the reality, Shaun, is there are other dynamics. The farm bill is a lot more than just your farm income support programs, crop insurance. 80% of it's nutrition programs. You have conservation programs, and there are still some points of disagreement between Democrats and Republicans on how to solve those issues, and that's the sticking point on the farm bill.
As every farm bill, those are the sticky points. That is not exactly a new battle being waged. The trade deficit in agriculture. I think we both know this. In the Trump administration that's coming in, trade is going to be they're going to talk about it a lot more. I was going to say more focused, but they're going to talk about it a lot more. Tackling that deficit, what are the steps to do that?
Number one, we've got to stop eating avocados. Number two, stop drinking imported beer. And number three, stop drinking tequila. Those are the three biggest imports that drove, I'm serious, look it up, that drove the negative trade deficit that we saw. But the reality is Mexico's our number one customer. You guys are our number two customer. China's our number three customer. These are important markets for U.S. agriculture. The farm economy in the United States does better when we have strong exports to our biggest partners. And I think, again, having a Secretary of Agriculture that can communicate that to the President when the time comes will be really important. Secretary Perdue did that when he came in, 8 years ago now at this point, when President Trump wanted to pull out of NAFTA. Secretary Perdue said, wait a minute, sir, it's really important to agriculture. It's really important to rural America. Canada and Mexico are among our top three trading partners at that point in time.
We know this, John. We're going to have lots to talk about in the next 4 years. Absolutely. Thanks so much for making some time for me.
Anytime.